Hello everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the Greenlight Trainz YouTube channel. I know it's been quite a long while, I'm not even sure when the last video I posted was, but it's another new series on this channel, and I promise this one will make it past episode 1, I'm pretty sure. Maybe no promises though this time. So in essence, this is a little project that I just started working on to get back into Trainz a couple months ago. And this footage was recorded, I think, probably about the 20th of December, so a few days before Christmas. And as you can tell, it is no longer the month of December. I think it's January 7th today, so I'm just a little late on finishing this off, but you know, life happens. So I don't have a name for this railroad yet. I just kind of started building it to see what would happen. I took a few routes that I was inspired by. I think you're going to see in some of these cinematics I'm going to show of the whole route that it's a lot inspired by the Dry Brook in the Surface Valley by Purge Medium, but I also took a little bit of inspiration from some other jointed rail routes and some other guys that I've seen hanging around the community. And it's kind of a little project for me just to remember what I'm doing and like how to get back into Trainz. Because before this it had been a while. I think it had probably been at least maybe 4 or 5 months since I posted a video, or well, it's probably longer than that now, but since I'd worked on a Trainz route really and posted the video, is kind of was running a little bit low on time to do that sort of stuff, and I never really got the motivation to finish the route I'd been previously working on, which was tough, but I liked it, and I think I'm going to try and give this one a shot. I've tried out a few new things, a few new textures, and just seeing how it works, like the ground texture you see, the grass texture. I haven't used that one before, so I'll try and see how it works out, mixing in some JR textures as well. Overall, I'm probably going to try and style this route a little more like Appalachian, I suppose, like a Tennessee kind of area, maybe a little more northeastern than that, but I don't really know too much about the kind of Tennessee-ish area, Kentucky. I don't know that much about it. I'm not huge on the geography or anything, so I'm probably going to have to do a little more research constructing the rest of this route before I make any huge decisions. But for now, it's just sort of a small short line is the idea. It's a short line with a branch with an industry. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lumber industry on the end of that branch, and it's also going to have some minor passenger service. Right now it operates out of a downtown area. It's kind of a small, in between the residential area and the industry area. There's a small, I guess, industrial park at the end of the line, and I think there's 3 industries, I believe 3 or 2 industries on the end of it, which the railroad will serve. It'll also serve a few more industries along the line, a little bit further up, as well as that lumber spur and passenger service all the way through. Like I said, this area here is a little creek. I'm calling it Duncan Creek. No particular inspiration, but I thought I'd like to do a little 3-bridge scene. I set this up so that it kind of goes over the river and then under a road overpass, but and you see there's 2 bridges and there's one in the background that will be the road overpass. And here I'm just doing pretty basic stuff, just setting up some rocks to kind of cover up the abutment. It's not a bad texture. I just like to have like a little bit of a rock basis and maybe a little bit of graffiti down there. And also in this area I wanted to try and put in some camping structures, so you'll kind of see that along the riverbank. It's going to be mostly, I think, a little bit later, but the first part is mostly just me setting up kind of the areas, like painting out where I want what to be, and yeah, placing down some basic landscape structures. But also a little bit probably in the next episode, whenever that will come out, I'm going to set up a little golf course just a little bit up the road here. You might be able to catch a shot of that excuse me, if the camera's angled up. And I'm going to be building a little golf course just off to the side of the railroad, and I think that'll be a really nice instruction. I think this is a really nice addition though here. I think the bridge scene is going to provide like a nice little scenic break just from all the, you know, residential stuff. And I really like building nature scenes like this because, you know, after a while you're just building in the residential areas and you kind of start to get tired of putting down driveways and fences and houses and cutting off sidewalks and making crosswalks and everything. It just gets kind of dry. So it's nice to just be able to kind of place some sporadic bushes, rocks, and paint out some gravel and see what you can make.
This the way the East Coast rocks, home up the hip hop. This is how we get down. Hey yo, word is born. This the way the East Coast rocks. Kamakazees represent. Don't spread it around. Hey yo, word is born. This the way the East Coast rocks, home up the hip hop. This is how we get down. Hey yo, word is born. This the way the East Coast rocks. Kamakazees represent. Don't spread it around. Hey yo, word is born. This the way the East Coast rocks, home up the hip hop. This is how we get down. Hey yo, word is born. This the way the East Coast rocks. Don't spread it around. Hey yo, word is born, this the way the East Coast rocks, home up the hip hop. This is how we get down. Hey yo, word is born, this the way the East Coast rocks. Don't spread it around. Hey yo,
the Kamakazee regime, the traders from Queens is packing gats under western fatigues, bagging tight jeans, making their rounds through my brick Olympus. The set's relentless, it's all about who hit it quickest. Kamakazee representing the borough of fire.
This right here is one of the kind of toughest parts for me, is figuring out with all the different grass types that I was kind of working in, different JR textures and a couple of different other textures, kind of grass and dirty, to see what I could make work in terms of the spline grass that I use. And I think I made it work, but it took a little testing and tweaking, and I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I might edit it later and see how it turns out. But I think the color is just what I'm trying to match and make sure that it looks pretty proper. And then you can also see I'm using a mix of some of the ultra trees, and I'll later put in some ST_RMM trees, which I think are just really great background fillers to make sure your kind of forest is fleshed out. I didn't want to make it too thick of a forest because I think if I did that I'd kind of, you know, hide the scene a little bit, which, I mean, I think it's a pretty good sightline scene from a couple different angles, so I wouldn't like to put any trees blocking the bridges or anything. Then you can just see me tossing down a few assorted camping assets. I really like the vintage camper trailer there by Bridge Medium. I probably should put that one a little bit closer to the scene. I think it has more character than the just standard white RV, but I think these scenes are really fun to build. You can just kind of show off like a little rustic nature stuff, a little bit of older buildings and older equipment just kind of lying around, and a little bit of scrap just kind of hanging out, you know, just hanging out, being in nature. And I feel like those are really fun scenes to build.
Escape through twisted patterns in my fate, then relocate to a faraway place. Sometimes I get caught up in mental obstacles. I'm illogical, it's illogical. The industry is comical, we bombing you. Understand the fire we walking through. I'm walking right through the fire with no H2. Oh, by the way, we already hot. You see the name, third degree, yo, it means a lot. Yo, everything you got, we already had. You see, we 3,000 light while you living in the past. 3,000 light years, 3 million still unaware of the children of production. It's nothing, I'm used to it. Yo, for real, niggas had a chance, then they blew it. Watch us do it. Don't be approaching me, no love for me. It's 3 stars down with me, my family. I'm caught in the middle, yo. Yo, that's life. Living is a riddle. I guess right. Niggas getting left back. Add or subtract, either way, you gotta deal with the facts through the darkness. Through the darkness. I travel through the darkness, sparking up the heartless. This shit's watered down and leaking out the faucets. We blow spots and hit targets. Mac Mill, the Black Star, got them producers / artists. Outside the rain, terrible like Terry Norris. Ain't nothing changed, yeah, we still on that bizarreness. Regardless, we gon' be known as.
One of the things I was a little bit concerned about while working on this was trying to figure out what to do with the water. I like the muddy water spline that you can see in this shot that I used on the DLS, but with the texture I was using underneath it, just for like the riverbed, it looked just a little plain, like almost a little just like kind of muddy dirt. It didn't really look like a river, or a creek rather. But I tried adding some real like Trainz water underneath, and it looked better, but I don't know if it worked as much as I thought it would, so I just reset it back to what it was. But you know, whatever, if you guys have any suggestions on that, I'm happy to hear them, because I don't have any big time opinions on how it should look. I think I'd like it to look like a little more blue, but maybe the textures are part of the difference. Maybe I should change the texture of the riverbed and just see how it works out. And then here you can see I'm setting up the kind of higher ground section, raising the ground. And I didn't really think this through. I did it kind of after I placed down some of the splines, thinking the rail bed was going to be raised a little bit more above the above ground level, but in the end I ended up changing up some of those textures and some of the grass placement just so I could fix where it was located. And I think this was one of the tougher parts, as I realized, and this is something I figured out when I was trying to set up railroad crossings at the town just not too far back, Duncan Creek, is this road here that I'm using doesn't actually connect or function with any of the other roads that carry traffic. It doesn't function with traffic. It won't accept traffic. It doesn't link up with, like, say a traffic stop, or if you're setting up a railroad crossing or just another bridge. So what I have to do is I have to set up this road to look like it's connecting, but then I have to go back right here, get the invisible road, connect that to the bridge, and then make sure it lines up and there's no cars like sinking into the earth or anything. And I think this is a little bit of an oversight that I probably could have done well before and saved myself some time, but it took until that little railroad crossing at Duncan Creek for me to figure it out, and by then it was used on like probably half the routes, and all of the roads that weren't custom were basically this road, so I just didn't feel like going back and fixing it. So I just decided to bear with my mistake, and I switched it a little bit further up by the road. On the other side of the bridges, I don't use it anymore, because now I have the invisible road connected up to the bridge. I can just stop using it here, and I get to use the nice little two-way roads, which are, I think, really great for representing some like kind of country two-way American driving. Now, in terms of my plans for this route, I'm kind of thinking of a freeware release on the website that I had set up. I believe it's still linked in the channel description, so I'll probably put it up there. But I definitely don't plan on making any like custom assets from like big website creators like Jointed Rail or RR Mods or something, because they wouldn't really, I don't think, let a little guy like me kind of copy that kind of stuff and release it as freeware. Because if anything, it would be like a private asset from one of the routes that was payware. So I think if anything, I'll just release a version that has no custom assets in it. So it might look a little bit worse, unfortunately, but I think that's just kind of a concession you have to make when you don't have your own quality assets. It's like thing like, man, I should really make some 3D modeling, get some 3D modeling skills, but you know, maybe one day I'll be able to make my own assets. But for now, I think I'm just gonna have to sort out with what freeware is available in the final product. And like I said earlier, you can see me putting in those 2-May roads that are really nice. I got rid of the JR, I think it's like Asphalt Road 4 or something. I got rid of that. It was just going to be a complete like pain in the ass to do for the rest of the route with all the invisible roads and everything. I do like the custom invisible roads for custom roads. And you're going to see that in some of the cinematics in the downtown kind of area that I'm going to show. It's really nice to have and just be able to set up your own streets and your own traffic directions rather than just conforming to the traditional spline. So I don't think I'll use custom roads too much more. Maybe I'll use them a little bit at the end of the line stop, but I think in between I'm probably just going to stick to spline roads. I think in Duncan Creek, like the downtown area, I mostly stick to just spline roads, and I don't think there's any custom roads there, but in the main city, which, man, it's been so long I can't even remember the name of the starting area. I think it's all custom roads there, and it's just a lot of invisible roads and road crossings set up with traffic stoppers connected to invisible roads and kind of sunk down. So I'll just see how it pans out for the rest of the route. I'm not sure if I want to do too many more like towns in between here and the final stop, because the final stop will definitely be a town. It won't just be like a run over end of track or like a broken bridge to a sold off secondary line or something. It'll definitely be a town with a connection, or maybe no connection at all. That's a big thing I forgot to mention earlier, is at the starting area town there is a connection to another Class 1 or maybe Class 2 railroad. I was thinking maybe CSX or Norfolk Southern, if I'm going to fit with the kind of East Coastern, Tennessee, like Kentucky-ish vibe. I think CSX or Norfolk Southern would definitely be the way to go. I think to me it's just going to be on which road I have the better assets for. I'm pretty sure it's CSX, but you know, you never know what will come out between now and the end of the route. So I think when I finish that area, that'll be the decider, is just the assets that are out.
You've earned one from the big brother. So yo, say the drama for your mama. You came with it, but I kinda cause I'm too fly. That's how it goes, Mr. Nice Guy. I jump on it like I Chris this jock. Tick tock, flip flop, and pop will never stop. So as you digging the sound and fool, you're bouncing to the groove. To bite the concept, you bit up more than you can chew. I get screwed when punk ass wanna flex. Styles are too complex, so ooh, you better guess. Back and easy, you are beginning to get me vexed. No matter what, you can't stop the flex when it wrecks. So sort the grassroots rhythm, then you're hot. As I drop. Now this you got, we got more than what you bargained for. So now the ghetto concept is who you asking for. But don't worry, just stay tuned to the boomer. Zoomer, we got the bomb, the rumor. Easy on the motion, 93 was locomotion. 94 we here and 95 we're gonna coast it. Easy on the motion, 93 was locomotion. 94 we here and 95 we're gonna coast it. Easy on the motion, 93 was locomotion. 94 we here and 95 we're gonna coast it. Easy on the motion, 93 was locomotion. 94 we here and 95 we're gone. Stripes upon stripes without the boss, without the lights, the LA lights, so that's the biggest spades glaring in the nights. The hike too tight with a squeezer. Should I say these or the freeze that makes me get the sneeze and allergies? So please, never ask a gift, bomb it easy, always squish it for you. Ooh, I mean, I'll squeeze it for your visa. Steady dissing up my topic of shoes. I know about the hits. Forget about the clues.
I gotta tell you, one thing you forget when you don't do Trainz videos for a while is how tough it is to talk through scenes of just kind of putting down nature stuff like bushes and grasses and landscaping. It's pretty tough. There's not much to talk about what's going on. I think it's probably about the same thing you've seen, a million times before. But one thing I do want to say is that it's really good to be back. I'm happy to be doing some Trainz stuff again, even though I'm going to say this and it's going to be a little break until my next video. I have my final exams coming up pretty soon, and so I won't be doing any kind of work on Trainz during that time. So I think I'm excited to get back when it's all said and done, and I'm ready to move on to the next semester of my schoolwork, and I'll be right back in the game. And here is just a little a few houses I'm setting up. I wanted to make a little private dirt road off of the main 2-lane, and it's not going to be much. I only put down one little kind of decrepit house by the river, maybe like a boathouse or something for somebody, or just an old home that's fallen into some pretty serious disrepair. But for the most part, I just wanted to put down a few private houses. There's one that'll be backing up to kind of the railroad property. Maybe a good like train watching fan or something lives there. And I wasn't sure whether to go kind of wide or narrow. I think the narrow roads from Jer were a little bit too narrow for what I was looking for, so I went with this. If I went with a wider road, because I think the narrow ones just almost look like a driveway instead of a actual road.
Definitely elevating for the 966. The ill suicidal liable to take titles and make vital signs, but not like no cancer. Answer, there's no chance to advance to ya. Kuya got blazed through ya. The great super science, applying pressure, I desecrate with double O's and bubble folds while I cut you, bro. I juggle flows that goes ballistic, reminiscent of exquisite cannibalistics and a sadistic doctor. My sick shit knocks ya improper. Got clockers like back blotter. Got a distended brain from insane thinking. Drinking like a fish in this deeper than the Nautilus. You caught a fist off a misinterpretation. The herbs are racing towards the armory. I'm third and Mason. The herbs are Satan, waiting to get blessed with the tech equipped up. Rip your skin, bone, and liver. Bag of styles by the gram. Slam lyrics to cook up. Niggas are shook up. Trying to realize the plan. Styles by the gram. Slam lyrics to cook up. Niggas are shook up. Trying to realize the plan. The Nordic dust bust like must in your armpits. I embalm shit while I'm calm spitting lyrics. My mind's hitting spirits like Buddhist monks. True this funk could do this, but then you knew this punk. The lyricist, teacher, eacher, never discreet around rattles. I found battles easily won. Son, them C's will be gunned down for accidents and missing like apparitions. Perhaps you bitch and don't wanna face my ammunition. Itching for a sacrifice. My max are nice, a slice through steel and screws nailed the blue steel. The propane like high, that smokes names like lie. I promote pain like I wrote with cocaine. My devilish deliveries, histories like a mystery. Kids are beyond it like Nordica, sorting ya with the water that's blessed by religion. The killer Christian makes the illest of incisions.
There's that overhead shot I was talking about. You can kind of see the golf course area. You can see where I painted golf onto the land here. And I just want to make this a little bit smaller and a little bit closer to the railroad. I didn't want to have to work on detailing so far out, and I'm probably just gonna detail that area and then back it up a little bit with the kind of mountain range that you see behind the road and the railroad. And at the end of this, I'm really just kind of looking to add more detail to this house here. I was thinking about adding a little carport kind of on the side here. I didn't have any good assets for a carport, so I thought I'd just go with kind of a little coral gable, thinking about Florida, a little gabled roof here. It's a little bit big for the purpose, but I think it does the job, and it's just kind of maybe the guy's got like an RV or something and he has to get that big of a carport so it can fit under it. And you know, it's kind of about making like little stories to make some of your inaccuracies work. Like, I mean, there's that thing's like massive. It's the size of the first floor of the house, and like real life, there's no way that'd be a actual carport. But it's about doing little stuff like that and just kind of explaining it. But that's about it for this episode. I'd like to thank you all just for coming back and joining me. It's great to be back. I hope I'm gonna have a little bit more for you, interesting stuff next time. So I'll have a good night and take it easy.
Cause an outbreak, you can't outface the outcast. I'm fast to outlast, you're best to outgrow the podcast. The outrage has outdone, so now you know the outcome. My outlandish style stunt, niggas won't outrun, you're outnumbered. I'm rolling